Presentation by Gaurav Naik and from Jens Fossen to give us a little bit deeper inside that. So welcome on stage.
Oh, thanks. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Yes. My name is Gaurav Naik. I'm a board member of the LoRa Alliance. I'm the head of engineering for MachineQ. MachineQ and Comcast have been a proud sponsor of the LoRa Alliance since 2017. I'm very excited to be here to see so many of our customers, partners, vendors, and friends that we've made over the years. I'm also very excited to welcome a special guest from Georgia Pacific. Jens Fossen is the Senior Director of Product Management for the Colo Smart Monitoring Solution. Jens, welcome to LoRaWAN Live.
Thanks, Gaurav. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks to the LoRa Alliance for inviting us and looking forward to our chat.
Great, let's have a seat. So, before, I think it's important to talk a little bit about Georgia Pacific. What is Georgia Pacific? What business is Georgia Pacific in today?
Yeah, so Georgia Pacific, almost a 100-year-old company, founded in 1927 in primarily lumber. I'll fast forward through the years, but that business continued to grow. But then they also added divisions like packaging and consumer products, which is the one that I work in today. Also, one thing of note, we are part of a larger organization called Koch Industries, which is good for us because it enables us access to a bunch of different sectors as well. So when you think about Georgia Pacific, big company, 30,000 people, 150 plus locations, traditional consumer products company, but backed by a larger organization.
And when you talk about consumer products, so it's things like paper and cups and
yeah.
all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so you're part of an organization called GP Pro, and you've taken GP Pro into the IoT space. How did that happen?
That's a fantastic question. And full disclosure, some of the decisions happened before I was even in the role that I am today. But Georgia Pacific Professional, as you see up on the screen here, is known for these dispensers. So we talked about opening and closing, going for soap. Georgia Pacific Professional, if you have traveled here via airport, if you've stayed in this hotel, if you've gone to a restaurant, you have a 1 in 3 chance of coming across a Georgia Pacific product. So they're everywhere. We have about 3 million plus dispensers placed in the market today. Majority do not have IoT in them, but it just kind of goes to show what we consider our addressable market. And Georgia Pacific Professional, you'll hear brands like Brawny, Dixie, AngelSoft, so a lot of household names in the business as well.
And so, in fact, when I landed here in Orlando, I went to the bathroom, or restroom, and there was one of those units there, an N-Motion Georgia Pacific. So Georgia Pacific is not only providing the dispenser, but it's providing the consumables, the paper that's going into that dispenser. And so tell us about the connected restroom solution. What capabilities, what features does it offer?
Yeah, so I'll go briefly over the technical explanation, but we do ride on LoRaWAN. That dispenser that you saw in Orlando Airport, the beauty of some of our products that are already in the market is the sensors are there. It's similar to an automated car. You may have the sensors and we just have to go in and get the data out. So what the Colo Smart Monitoring Solution is it's a full stack solution of connected dispensers, sensors to network to application layer. And we really focus on 3 value drivers. I think before you can understand the product, we have to understand the journey of the customer. We chose to focus on the custodian when we brought this to market. And as a custodian, I'll hit these kind of one by one, but as a custodian, I have a job. It's usually a checklist, a schedule. I go from place to place. And today, I don't really know where I need to go, and I don't have vision into all of these dispensers and even into the washroom itself. So I look at something like waste. If I'm doing my rounds, I come to a dispenser and I open it up, and it's got 25, maybe 30% of the product left on that roll. I've got a choice to make. I can either make that change out and satisfy the customer, guaranteed, or I can wait and roll the dice. I am almost always going to take that roll out and replace it, leaving waste. I'm not really incented to reduce waste for a site. What Colo does is it gives you peace of mind. It tells you exactly when you need to go change that based on the telemetry generated by the sensor going over the LoRaWAN network into the hands of the custodian. Same application for labor, same story, but instead of proactively removing something, imagine you're in a stadium with 3,000, maybe 4,000 dispensers and a team of 10 to 12 custodians. 97% of the time when you open that thing up, nothing needs to happen. So that's 97% wasted motion, and we can give that back with the product. And the last one is tenant experience. We've all been there. You walk into a washroom, a restroom, get into the stall, you sit down, you look left, you look right, there's no toilet paper in there. Like it's an unpleasant experience by itself, not to mention the hygiene element of it. And to make matters even worse, you can actually correlate this to spend at places where you can choose to be. So an example would be an airport or a stadium. You chose to go there and you're going to choose to come back. And there's tangible evidence saying that that bad experience impacts the bottom line for the customer.
Yeah, and this is what I really love about colo, right? So the ROI, there's clear like dollar ROI saving, labor and waste, but there's certain things like guest experience which you can't really measure, but are maybe in certain ways even more powerful than the other savings, right? And I think that particularly in a place like a stadium or an airport, that really matters, that guest experience, and it keeps people coming back. Right. So when we talk about IoT and IoT solutions, for me, the most really important thing is talking about the end user and what we're delivering for that end user. And so you provide I see there's an app here. So the janitor or facility manager is getting an app. What features, capabilities, outcomes, actions, alerts, insights do they get in that app?
Yeah, so I kind of walked through the custodian's journey. We really serve three people. We serve the custodian. He or she is our primary focus because they're the ones on the front lines. How they get value delivered to them is via the mobile app. So we are very binary when it comes to insights and knowledge. It's very action-based. So if something needs to be replaced, we send you a task, you go replace it. We're not going to give you, hey, there's 10% or 20% left in here, being very discreet about it. And the outcomes are they don't have to worry about getting reprimanded because of a tenant complaint because we are giving them peace of mind for that. On the facility manager side, still the same three value props, different weighting though. So as a facility manager, labor optimization is real to me because these labor challenges aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So I still have to maintain a high level of cleanliness at my site, and I have to work with what I have. And what a system like this allows you to do is do that with less, and do it through troubling times and in labor shortages.
And so if I don't have the connected colo solution, let's call it the dumb restroom, right? So what are they doing today? How does that workflow work?
Yeah, the non-IoT enabled or non-smart cleaning way is no change, time over time. You're doing the same thing every day. You might tailor it a little bit if you kind of have a seasoned custodian that understands the environment. But again, this is augmented by labor challenges. You get a new person coming in, they might not even have a card to look at. So it's a training element, but then you also don't have that sort of expertise that your long tenured custodians have. They're checking the same thing over and over again, wasting time, wasting product.
And this seems like a problem really ripe for disruption, but there are other smart restroom solutions on the market. Colo's a little bit different. Can you tell us how?
Yeah, if you just Google us, you can probably find our direct competitors. The list is not big. There aren't too many people that look like GP that offer a smart dispenser solution. I'll just highlight 2 points. Number one, I actually can take no credit for it. It is the base quality of our dispenser and dispensing systems. It's kind of like building your house on top of a good foundation. We found that time and time again, our system will win out head to head because of that foundational quality element. And we build on top of that with our software and network components. And the other one isn't really technology or product related at all. It's customer success or customer service. And I can tie that back to technology because I'm going to say this multiple times, but Georgia Pacific is a consumer products company. We're not a networking company. So when we look at a product like this, which is new to us, we need to kind of take risk out wherever we can. So One of the main points that I was trying to get to was around the competitors and the customer experience piece. We've actually chosen to invest more heavily in customer experience because that's what our customers demand. They're not tech savvy. Usually the facility management firms, the cleaning firms are the last to adopt technology. They expect the human touch. So whereas a lot of companies may be choosing a self-service model because it's attractive from an ROI standpoint, we recognize that even with the simplicity of LoRaWAN, bringing that human touch to it is absolutely essential.
And look, it's a nice looking product, stainless steel on the front. If my wife would let me put this on our bathroom, I'd definitely ask you for one of those. But some of those other competitive solutions use BLE only, right? But you guys are now using LoRaWAN. Why did you select LoRaWAN?
When we started this whole thing, it was really one reason. 10 years ago, and even today, restrooms are dead spots. It's hard to get anything out of a restroom. Like if you can get cellular, great. Wi-Fi, good luck. We ran into all sorts of issues trying to connect our dispensers and get the data out. So it started as a necessity. We needed an easy way, like a long-range backhaul, to get our stuff out. As we progressed through our journey, we found a couple of other reasons to believe. One of them just being the people in this audience and the people who have spoken and the people who have spoken in the past. It's the ecosystem of LoRaWAN. There are customer segments that are using this technology that we didn't even consider when we started this. We thought we were an office space or a commercial office space company. Then we thought we were office space and high traffic. Today, we think we are maybe more of a food service, or there's other segments that came out of this. And that is a huge reason for us moving towards LoRaWAN is the people actually in the ecosystem.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with you. And I think one of the things we're seeing at MachineQ is LoRaWAN being a really emerging technology in food services. And so we at MachineQ just completed a digital temperature monitoring deployment for Starbucks across 10,000 locations with 120,000 sensors. So high quality SF7 coverage in almost 10,000 Starbucks stores in the United States. That's SLA backed. Mm-hmm. And so for the IoT solutions providers that are here with us today and they're thinking about maybe selecting LoRaWAN or as their technology for their solution, why should they pick LoRaWAN?
Yeah, I kind of go back to like an initial qualifying question before you can even make that decision. And to me, it comes back to the customer. It's kind of cliche. I'm going to put my product manager hat on for a moment and say it always comes back to the customer. But really understanding like what the customer's needs are, understanding what data, if you're building an IoT platform, is needed to serve those needs, and then doing a quick straw man of what that architecture could look like before you ever even think about connectivity alternatives. And then once you've figured out that minimum amount of data that you think you need, the smallest architecture, ask yourself again, could it be smaller? I think so many more people would choose LoRaWAN as a protocol if they went through that process early on, because it really is well suited for the majority of specifically our smart cleaning applications. I mean, it makes sense for us.
Absolutely, I think that you're right. So LoRaWAN, low bandwidth, it requires you to think about optimization, think about the data you're sending, but there's so many benefits to that. So because if you're sending less data, you're going to get better battery life. If you're sending less data, you can do more things at the edge. You decrease your cloud costs, you decrease the things you're sending back to your back end. So absolutely. During the deployment of your LoRaWAN network, what type of issues did you face and how did you overcome them?
Oh, all sorts. I mean, again, new company into the tech space. We had just about every struggle you can imagine. I'll pick one out specifically though, and it's around the network side. When we started deploying LoRaWAN networks, we tried to do it ourselves. We built a lot of capability within. We had a partner to help us, build our devices, but from a service standpoint, we struggled. And our installations are disruptive to customers without any IoT involved. We have to go in, drill holes, cut stuff, get dispensers on the wall. When you add the complexity of a network install on top of it, we were getting these long visits, return visits after that, and that all stacks up. Where I think where we were able to overcome that was again, by looking out to the ecosystem and looking at folks like Gaurav at MachineQ and the team there and thinking, man, there's somebody out there that can do this just as good or better than we can, and at probably half the effort. And like having that realization early is what allowed us to not get too far into our deployment process and realize that there's a better way forward.
Indeed, that's true. And I think that one of the things Starbucks told us was, hey, look, it's easy for a vendor to come in here and have PowerPoint slides and talk about an IoT solution. It's easy to deploy 30 sensors, but you guys deployed over 100,000 sensors, and that takes a real deployment machine. And that's something that Comcast and MachineQ is really in their heritage to do, and something that we're very good at doing. Mm-hmm. But even when you sort of go from pilot to production, the economics change drastically. You have a lot more planning to do. Costs, whether it's labor costs for installation, labor costs of managing it, and going back out there to potentially fix something, to add additional coverage, adds up very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so with this, LoRaWAN enabled solution in place, and always hot topic in IoT is what type of ROI are you achieving?
So on top of the customer ROI, we deliver ROI to the customer at the waste, labor, and guest experience. For us, I'm going to cherry pick one in particular. With our own organization, we've seen an ROI. So I'll paint it this way. We have 300 plus sales consultants that every day are going out either virtually on Zoom calls or actually door to door to facilities and selling paper towel, tissue, consumable products. One of the things that we've been able to see in the short term is how a technology like this augments their sales process. Before they even talk about an IoT solution for smart restrooms, they're already able to get a return call because we have this solution, which opens the door for them to go sell, to be frank, what is the lion's share of the profit, which is our consumable side. So it's really shown a return on investment internally for us by opening doors to the base business that weren't open before and creating differentiation where it's hard to be differentiated.
And then what about for the customers? What type of outcomes have they told you that they're achieving?
Yeah, I mean, we've got case study data out there. I can, spurt one off the top of my head. We have an 800,000 square foot Class A office where we were able to reduce waste by 65%. So if they were operating at 30% waste, we were able to drop them down. And the remaining part of that waste is still pretty easy to go at. Some of that's on the customer as to how far they want to take it. And then also, that equates to about 800 pounds of actual weight of material. It doesn't even include the cost of the paper product, but just the actual weight. So there's a sustainability story there. And the labor hours. At this specific site, 800,000 square feet, we saved 130 hours per month of total labor. And for a system that arguably is a pretty small percentage of your overall operating budget, that's a good return.
That's pretty amazing. And so now you have your connected restroom solution, you have LoRaWAN. Can you tell us a little more about your roadmap? Like, what other use cases are you considering?
Oh yeah, so candidly, we have some tech debt to go figure out. When we started this thing, my selection criteria or my recommendation around thinking about your architecture is something that we could have followed a little better. So we want to continue to strive to be more aligned to the LoRaWAN standard, and make sure that we're taking advantage of all the features and functionality within it. So that's kind of my near-term roadmap. Long-term, we're looking for anything trigger or action-based. Our system is built off of triggers and actions with the custodian in mind. That's not just like trash sensing and air quality and all that, but anything that supports that type of framework is something that we're considering. We find ourselves more often than not in the driver's seat when it comes to a lot of these early conversations with facility management firms. Usually we're one of the first people in because we're already there with our dispensers, and we get asked these questions all the time, and we're not quite ready to serve all the different solution needs that are out there. So we'll continue to be on the lookout for that. We're going to continue to optimize our platform and move closer to the LoRaWAN full standard. So.
This is really cool. So we have a let's call it an old company that has been doing something for decades, really bringing IoT to that product, delivering real ROI results, waste savings, labor optimization, guest experience. And it's growing, right? You guys are deploying, and we're working with you and we're seeing that growth happening. So it's really awesome. We have about 5 minutes for questions. So if anyone has any questions, you can walk over to the mic in the middle. We're definitely happy to answer them.
We've had that question come up a few times before in the high traffic space. So there are a few larger airports that have asked for that. Today we remain opportunistic when it comes to interoperability if the opportunity is the right size. But for us, it's more of an economic decision than it is a capability decision. So, if there's an opportunity to integrate in any way with other platforms, whether it's the LoRa network or other sensors, we remain open. But we do our kind of standard out of the box deployment would be using the MQ Central or the MQ Gateway today.
Any other questions? Nope. That's it. So Jens, thank you for being here with us today. We really appreciate it. And everyone, can we give him a round of applause?
Yeah, thank you so much.
This was awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. So Jens, you almost nailed it, and you're up. Thank you. So just a second. So because we have 1 minute. You brought up a very specific thing. The value for your customer is driving the final decision of your technology, right? So I've got asked several times when people, hey, you're using LoRaWAN, right? You're LoRaWAN ambassadors, by the way. Okay, so LoRaWAN is the best IoT solution, right? I said, it depends. Don't get me wrong here, but it really depends on the use case. We had so many use cases coming up which you can't do with LoRaWAN probably due to the data payload volume, pictures, video streaming, everything like that. This is not properly working. But LoRaWAN, you showcased it already, it's a perfect solution for that. And you brought up a very important second point. This is how you reach the deep door coverage in the buildings. So we are a strong performer in deep indoor coverage because we are mounting up 68,000 gateways as standard, primarily indoor gateways, because we have also the challenge to reach by 100% any single device in the building. Mm-hmm. And coming to the last point, so what could be a potential next step is having set up your coverage in the bathroom, which is really a difficult environment, is this enables you to be in the building already.
Right.
Air quality, all the indoor use cases, independent if this is a public building, a smart city building, this is opening up all your next space.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. So I think that, the way we look at it, there's 3 comments there for you. So number 1, most of the time, for some customers, they don't care whether it's LoRaWAN or BLE or whatever. They just want it to work. They want their data, they want the outcomes, they want the ROI. Number 2, what we're seeing, and we do some work with LTE and Cat-M1 and other technologies too, is that sometimes it's very difficult to get deep indoor high quality coverage. And that's where LoRaWAN really wins and LoRaWAN really shines. And we've had a lot of success doing that. We use, in our solutions, sometimes we use LTE, sometimes we don't, but it's the power of LoRa to get deep inside of a building is really making a big difference.
Awesome, thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So